I should have trusted my instincts from the beginning. That nagging feeling in my gut the first time Ryan suggested we talk about my future care wasn't paranoia. It was my subconscious screaming at me that something was very, very wrong. Let me back up. My name is Margaret Chen, and I'm 68 years old. I've lived in Seattle my whole life, built a successful chain of Asian fusion restaurants from scratch after my husband David died 15 years ago. I sold 2 of them last year for just over $2 million. I kept the flagship location in Capitol Hill because, honestly, what else was I going to do with my time? Sit around and wait to die? I have one daughter, Emma. She's 42, a pediatric dentist with her own practice in Bellevue. Smart as a whip, kind heart, terrible judge of character when it comes to men. Case in point, Ryan Walsh, her husband of 3 years. Ryan's 36. Good-looking in that Ken doll sort of way, and as far as I could tell, professionally unemployed. He called himself an entrepreneur, which seemed to mean he spent Emma's money on various failed ventures while talking a big game about his next big idea. Emma defended him constantly. "He's building something, Mom. You just don't understand the tech startup world." Maybe I didn't. But I understood a man who'd been building something for 5 years with nothing to show for it except mounting credit card debt and a wife who worked 60-hour weeks to support his dreams. Still, I kept my mouth shut. Emma was happy, or at least she seemed to be, and after her disastrous first marriage, I wasn't about to be the mother-in-law who drove a wedge between her and her husband. I was cordial to Ryan, included him in family dinners, even wrote him a check for $10,000 when he asked for a small business loan 2 years ago. A loan I never expected to see again. But lately, something had shifted. It started in October. Ryan began showing up at my house unannounced, always with some excuse. He needed to borrow a ladder. He wanted to ask my advice about a restaurant concept he was developing. He thought I might want company since I lived alone. His visits increased from once a month to twice a week, and the questions started. Innocent at first. How was I sleeping? Was I remembering to take my vitamins? Had I noticed any changes in my health? I'm 68, not stupid. I told him I was fine, perfectly capable of taking care of myself. But he persisted, always with that concerned look on his face, always touching my arm like I was fragile. Then came the suggestions. Had I thought about what would happen if I got sick? Did I have a healthcare proxy? What about a power of attorney? Wouldn't it be smart to get my affairs in order while I was still, as he put it, sharp as a tack? The phrase made my skin crawl. Still sharp, as if my mental decline was inevitable. Just a matter of time. I started paying closer attention. Ryan always steered conversations toward my finances, my properties, my health. He'd ask Emma questions about me when I was in the room, talking about me in third person like I wasn't there. "Does your mom still drive at night? I'm worried about her reaction time." Emma would laugh it off, but I noticed Ryan wasn't laughing. He was gathering information. November brought the real push. Ryan suggested, very casually over dinner at Emma's house, that I might want to consider updating my estate plan. He'd found an elder law attorney who specialized in protecting assets for aging individuals. The way he said aging individuals made me feel like I had one foot in the grave. Emma jumped on board immediately. "That's actually a great idea, Mom. You haven't updated anything since Dad died, right?" Ryan's been reading a lot about this stuff. He showed me some articles about how important it is to plan ahead. I bet he did. I told them I'd think about it, but my alarm bells were ringing loud and clear now. Ryan wasn't concerned about my well-being. He was concerned about my money. I called my attorney, Stephen Kim, the next day. He'd handled my business affairs for 20 years and didn't sugarcoat things. "Margaret, your estate plan is solid. Everything goes to Emma, with protections in place. Unless you want to make changes, there's no urgent need to update anything." "Why do you ask?" I told him about Ryan's sudden interest in my legal affairs. There was a long pause. "Be careful," Stephen said finally. "I've seen situations like this before. Make sure any changes you make are truly what you want, not what someone else wants for you. And if Ryan pushes for power of attorney or any financial authority over your assets, call me immediately." That conversation should have been reassuring, but instead it terrified me. Stephen, who'd known me for 2 decades, was basically confirming my worst suspicions. Something was wrong. Thanksgiving was when everything came into focus, sharp and horrible. Emma insisted I spend the holiday at their house in Kirkland. I arrived Wednesday evening with my famous pumpkin pie and an overnight bag. The house was beautiful, probably cost $800,000, way more than Emma could afford on a dentist's salary alone. I wondered how much of her inheritance from David had gone into the down payment, how much Ryan had convinced her to invest in their future. Ryan greeted me at the door with an enthusiastic hug that felt performative. "Margaret, so glad you could make it. Emma's been cooking all day." The evening was pleasant enough. We ate too much, watched football, avoided talking about politics, but I noticed Ryan kept refilling my wine glass, encouraging me to relax, have another drink. I nursed the same glass all night and watched him frown every time he realized I hadn't finished it. Around 10, I excused myself to use the bathroom upstairs. Their master bedroom was at the end of the hall, door slightly ajar, and as I walked past, I heard Ryan's voice. He was on the phone. I should have kept walking. I should have gone to the bathroom and minded my own business, but something in his tone made me freeze. It was different from his usual smooth, salesman voice. This was cold, calculating. I stepped closer to the door, my heart pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. "The timeline's tight, but it's doable," Ryan was saying. "We need to move before she does anything with that cash from the restaurant sale. Once we get conservatorship, it doesn't matter what her will says. I'll have full control of her finances." My blood turned to ice. No, Emma doesn't know the full plan yet. I'm easing her into it. I've been planting seeds for months about Margaret's memory, her health, how worried I am. Emma's already noticed her mom forgetting things, being more confused. She doesn't realize I'm the one who's been creating those situations. I pressed my hand against the wall to steady myself. What was he talking about? What situations? "The doctor's on board. He'll do the evaluation and give us what we need. A formal diagnosis of early-stage dementia, maybe mild cognitive impairment. Margaret won't even know it's happening until the papers are filed. By then, she won't have any legal standing to fight it." The doctor. He'd mentioned a geriatric specialist several times, someone who could do a baseline cognitive assessment just to be safe. I'd refused every time, said I didn't need some stranger poking around in my brain. Now I understood why he'd been so persistent. "The beauty is, she's old enough that people won't question it," Ryan continued. "Everyone expects elderly people to decline eventually. We're just being proactive, protecting her from herself. And once the conservatorship is in place, I can make all the financial decisions. Sell the restaurant, liquidate the investments, put her in a nice facility. Emma will still inherit eventually, but in the meantime, we'll have access to everything." Nice facility. He meant a nursing home. He was going to have me declared incompetent, steal my money, and lock me away in some institution. How much longer? I'm thinking 3, maybe 4 months. I need to be careful not to rush Emma. She's protective of her mom, but she trusts me. I just keep reinforcing how worried I am, how Margaret's behavior is concerning, how we need to do something before it's too late. She's already halfway convinced her mom needs help. My daughter, my Emma. He was manipulating her, using her love for me as a weapon against me. Yeah, the dementia angle is perfect because there's no way to definitively disprove it, especially in early stages. And once a doctor says it, even if Margaret protests, it just looks like denial. Classic symptom, right? Patients don't recognize their own decline. He laughed. Actually laughed. The payoff's worth the effort. $2 million liquid, plus the restaurant's worth at least another $1 million if we sell it quickly. The house is paid off, probably $600,000. Even after legal fees and the cost of the facility, we're looking at keeping most of it. Emma thinks it's all going into a trust for Margaret's care, but there's so much money there. More than enough for everyone. More than enough. He meant more than enough for him. I backed away from the door slowly, terrified the floorboard would creak and give me away. My hands were shaking, my mind was racing. This couldn't be happening. This couldn't be real. But it was. Ryan was planning to have me declared mentally incompetent, take control of my life savings, and convince my own daughter it was for my own good. I made it to the bathroom and locked the door. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. Did I look old? Frail? Confused? Is that what people saw when they looked at me? Is that what Emma saw? No, no. I ran a successful business until last year. I managed my own finances, paid my bills, drove myself anywhere I needed to go. I was healthy, active, sharp. There was nothing wrong with my mind. But Ryan was going to make it look like there was, and he had a doctor willing to help him do it. I splashed cold water on my face and forced myself to think clearly. I couldn't confront him. Not yet. If I accused him now, without proof, it would play right into his narrative. See how paranoid she is? See how she's turning on family for no reason? This is exactly what I've been worried about. I needed evidence. I needed to be smarter than him. I went back downstairs, smiled, told Emma I was tired and going to bed. She hugged me, told me she loved me, had no idea her husband was plotting to steal my life. That night, lying in their guest room, I barely slept. I kept replaying Ryan's words, the doctor who would give a false diagnosis, the conservatorship filing, the timeline. 3 to 4 months. It was December now. By March or April, if I didn't act, I could lose everything. The next morning, I was packing my bag when Emma knocked on the door. "Mom, can we talk?" My stomach dropped. Did Ryan know I'd heard him? Had he told Emma to confront me? But when I opened the door, Emma looked worried, not accusatory. She sat on the bed and patted the spot next to her. "I've been meaning to talk to you about something. Ryan and I are both concerned about you." There it was. The script Ryan had written. "Concerned about what, sweetheart?" "Your health, Mom. Your memory. We've noticed you've been more forgetful lately, a little more confused, missing appointments, repeating yourself, forgetting conversations we've had." "I don't think that's true," I said carefully. "Can you give me an example?" She looked uncomfortable. "Well, last month you asked me 3 times when my birthday was. And you forgot we'd made plans for lunch, twice, and Ryan said you called him David a few times." I had never called Ryan by my dead husband's name. Not once. He was lying, and Emma believed him. "Emma, I think you're mistaken about some of these things, and I'm certainly not forgetting appointments. I keep a detailed calendar." "That's what Ryan said," you'd say. "He told me that people with early memory issues often don't realize it themselves. They get defensive when it's pointed out." The trap was already set. Deny the symptoms, and I was proving the symptoms were real. "I'm not defensive, honey. I'm just confused about where this is coming from. I feel perfectly fine." "I know, Mom, and you probably are fine. That's why Ryan and I want you to see a specialist, just for a baseline evaluation. Dr. Patterson is excellent. He works specifically with aging adults, and he can rule out any issues or catch things early. Wouldn't that give you peace of mind?" Dr. Patterson. The doctor Ryan had mentioned on the phone, the one who was on board. "I don't think I need a specialist, Emma. If you're really concerned, I'm happy to see my regular doctor, Dr. Reeves. She's known me for 15 years. Emma's face fell. "Ryan said you'd resist this. He said denial is common." "Mom, please. Just one appointment. Do it for me?" I looked at my daughter, at the worry in her eyes, and felt my heart break. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She genuinely believed Ryan's lies. She thought she was helping. "Let me think about it," I said finally. "I'm not saying no, but I need some time." Emma looked relieved. "Of course. Take your time. Just promise me you'll consider it." I promised, knowing I would never set foot in Dr. Patterson's office. I drove home Friday morning, my mind already working through a plan. I couldn't tell Emma the truth, not yet. She'd tell Ryan, and he'd accelerate his timeline. I couldn't go to the police because he hadn't actually done anything illegal yet. Planning to commit fraud wasn't the same as committing it. But I could gather evidence. I could build a case. And when the time came, I could prove exactly what Ryan was trying to do. First, I called Steve and Kim from my car. "Margaret, hi. How was Thanksgiving?" "Enlightening." "Stephen, I need your help. Hypothetically, if someone were trying to get conservatorship over me against my will, what would they need to do?" Another pause. "Hypothetically? They'd need a doctor to declare you mentally incompetent or unable to care for yourself. They'd file a petition with the court. There'd be a hearing where you could contest it, but if the medical evidence was strong enough, a judge could grant it. Margaret, has Ryan, hypothetically, I interrupted. If I wanted to protect myself from this hypothetical situation, what should I do? Document everything. Get your own medical evaluation from a doctor you trust, establishing that you're of sound mind. Update your healthcare directive and power of attorney to explicitly name who you do and don't want making decisions for you. And stay away from anyone who might be trying to build a case against you. Can I record conversations in Washington state? Washington's a two-party consent state. You can't record someone without their knowledge unless he stopped. Why do you need to record anyone? Hypothetically, Stephen. He sighed. Margaret, whatever's happening, please be careful, and if you need my help, actually need it, call me. I spent the weekend researching conservatorships, elder financial abuse, coercive control. The stories I found online were horrifying. Adult children who convince doctors to declare their parents incompetent just to access their bank accounts. Families who put perfectly healthy elderly relatives in nursing homes to take their houses. Courts that rubber-stamped conservatorships without proper investigation. It happened all the time, and it was about to happen to me. Monday morning, I went to Dr. Reeves for a full physical and cognitive assessment. I told her everything. She was appalled. Margaret, you're one of the healthiest 68-year-olds I've seen. Your blood work is excellent. Your memory is sharp. You're cognitively intact. I'll document everything and write a letter stating you're fully competent to make your own decisions. But you need to report this to someone. I will, I promised. I just need to gather more evidence first. That night, Ryan called me. Hey, Margaret, just checking in. Emma said you had a nice talk on Thanksgiving? We did, I said pleasantly. She mentioned some concerns about my memory. Right, yeah. We just want to make sure you're okay. Have you thought more about seeing Dr. Patterson? I'd be happy to set up an appointment for you. I'm still thinking about it, Ryan. These things take time. Of course. No pressure. I just care about you, you know? Your family. I gripped the phone tighter. I appreciate that. Hey, random question, but have you given any more thought to updating your estate plan? I know it's not fun to think about, but it's important stuff. There it was, the real reason for his call. Actually, I have an appointment with my attorney next week. Oh, great. You know, if you want, I could come with you. I've been reading a lot about estate planning, and I might be able to help explain some of the options. That's kind of you, but I think I can manage. Sure. I just meant, sometimes these legal things can be confusing, and it might help to have someone there who understands the technical aspects. Translation: let me come to your attorney meeting so I can influence what you do with your money. I'll be fine, Ryan, but thank you. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen, shaking. The audacity of him, the calculation. He called to check if I was weakening, if I was following his script. And when I mentioned the attorney, he immediately tried to insert himself into the process. I needed to catch him in the act. I needed proof. The next week, I had a security system installed in my house. Not the obvious kind with cameras on the doorstep, but small, hidden cameras in my living room, kitchen, and office. The technician assured me they were virtually undetectable and would record everything to a cloud server I could access from my phone. Then I called Ryan. I've been thinking about what you and Emma said. Maybe I should meet with Dr. Patterson after all. Could you help me set up an appointment? His enthusiasm was immediate and sickening. Margaret, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you're being proactive about this. I'll call his office today and get you in as soon as possible. He got me an appointment for the following Friday. I had no intention of going, but I let him think I would. The Thursday before the appointment, Ryan showed up at my door unannounced. I'd been expecting this. I had my cameras ready. Margaret, I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd check in. How are you feeling about tomorrow? A little nervous, I admitted, playing my part. I'm not sure what to expect. It'll be easy, I promise. Dr. Patterson is very gentle. He'll just ask you some questions, maybe do some memory tests. Nothing scary. We sat in my living room, and Ryan started asking me questions. Innocuous at first. What did I have for breakfast? What year was I born? But then they got stranger. Do you remember what we talked about last time I was here, Margaret? We didn't talk last time. You just dropped off some mail that was delivered to Emma's house by mistake. He frowned, making a note on his phone. Are you sure? I could have sworn we had a whole conversation about your restaurant plans. I'm very sure, Ryan. And do you remember what month we're in? December. What's today's date? December 8th. Who's the president? I stared at him. Ryan, why are you quizzing me? I'm not quizzing you. I'm just concerned. Emma mentioned you've been forgetting what day it is lately. I hadn't. Emma had never said that because it wasn't true. But here was Ryan, creating a false narrative and documenting my symptoms on his phone. I know exactly what day it is, I said firmly. And I know exactly what you're doing. His expression shifted slightly. What I'm doing? Margaret, I'm trying to help you. Are you? Because it feels like you're trying to catch me making mistakes. That's not fair. His voice took on a hurt tone. I care about you. We all do. If you're feeling defensive or paranoid, that might be something we should mention to Dr. Patterson tomorrow. Paranoid. He was adding it to the list. Forgetful, confused, defensive, paranoid. Building his case, symptom by symptom. I think you should leave, Ryan. He stood up, all concerned son-in-law. I'm sorry if I upset you. I'll call tomorrow to make sure you get to your appointment, okay? After he left, I reviewed the footage. Clear as day. Ryan coaching me, trying to trip me up, documenting everything on his phone. It was manipulative and calculated, but was it enough to prove fraud? I wasn't sure. I needed something more concrete, something undeniable. Friday morning, Ryan called at 8. Hey, Margaret, just making sure you're ready for your 10 o'clock appointment. Do you need a ride? No, thank you. I can drive myself. Are you sure? I'd be happy to take you. I could even sit in on the evaluation if you want moral support. I bet he would. I'll be fine, Ryan. I didn't go to Dr. Patterson's office. Instead, I sat in my house and waited. At 10:30, Ryan called again. Margaret, Dr. Patterson's office just called me. They said you missed your appointment. Are you okay? Did you forget? I didn't forget, Ryan. I chose not to go. Silence. Then, carefully, can I ask why? I don't think I need to see a specialist. I feel fine. Margaret, we've talked about this. People with cognitive issues often don't recognize them. The fact that you canceled at the last minute, that you forgot. I didn't forget. I deliberately didn't go. Another pause. Okay, I hear you. I'll talk to Emma about this, but Margaret, you're making us very worried. He hung up, and I knew the next call would be to my daughter, ramping up the concern, making me sound more confused and resistant than ever. Sure enough, Emma called an hour later in tears. Mom, Ryan said you didn't go to your appointment. What happened? I chose not to go, sweetheart. I don't need that kind of evaluation. But you promised you'd consider it. You said you would go. I said I'd think about it, Emma. And I thought about it and decided it wasn't necessary. Mom, this is exactly what Ryan's been warning me about. You're being stubborn and unreasonable, and you don't see it. That's the problem. My heart ached. Emma, I'm not being unreasonable. I'm being rational. There's nothing wrong with my mind. That's what you think. But Mom, you've been so forgetful lately, and now you're getting paranoid about doctors, about Ryan. He's only trying to help. We both are. Has it occurred to you that maybe Ryan is exaggerating my symptoms? That maybe he's not being entirely truthful? Why would he do that? Mom, do you hear yourself? You're accusing my husband of lying for no reason. That's paranoid. There it was again. Paranoid. Question Ryan's motives. And I was the one with the problem. Emma, I love you, but I'm not going to that doctor, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I know my own mind. She was crying when she hung up. I spent the weekend feeling like the worst mother in the world. Maybe I should just tell Emma everything, show her the recordings, explain what I'd overheard. But I knew Ryan would have a counter-narrative ready. Your mom's so confused she's imagining conversations that never happened. See how paranoid she's becoming? I needed more. I needed him to incriminate himself in a way he couldn't explain away. The opportunity came the following Wednesday. Ryan called and asked if he could come over to drop off some paperwork Emma had put together for me. Healthcare directive forms, power of attorney documents, all with helpful sticky notes indicating where I should sign. Emma thought it might be easier if you had these at home to review, Ryan explained when he arrived. No pressure, just whenever you're ready. I flipped through the documents. They all named Emma as my healthcare proxy and power of attorney, which would have been fine except for one thing. There was a clause that allowed her to delegate those powers to her spouse if she was unavailable, meaning Ryan could step in at any time. These are very thorough, I said carefully. Emma worked hard on them. She just wants to make sure you're protected. He paused, then sat down across from me. Margaret, can I be honest with you? Please. I'm worried about you, not just as Emma's husband, but as someone who cares about you. I've seen changes over the past few months, and I think you need more support than you realize. What kind of changes? Memory lapses, confusion, repeating yourself, getting lost when driving. Emma told me you called her last week thinking it was Thursday when it was actually Tuesday. I had never made that call. Emma had never said that. Ryan was fabricating incidents, and I had no way to disprove them without calling my daughter a liar. Ryan, I don't think those things happen the way you remember them. He gave me a sad smile. That's the thing about cognitive decline, Margaret. You don't always recognize it in yourself. That's why you need people who love you to step in and help. Step in. Take control. Steal my life. What exactly are you suggesting? I think you should consider a conservatorship. I know it sounds scary, but it's actually a gift. You'd have someone managing all the difficult stuff, finances, healthcare decisions, legal matters, so you don't have to worry about it. You could just relax and enjoy your life. There it was. Out in the open now. And who would be this conservator? Well, Emma, obviously. With me helping her since she's so busy with the practice, we'd make sure all your needs were met, that your money was managed responsibly, that you were safe and cared for. Safe and cared for in a nursing home while he drained my accounts. I'll think about it, I said, and I saw the flash of triumph in his eyes. After he left, I called my son-in-law's phone from a blocked number. It went to voicemail. I didn't leave a message, but I needed to verify something. Then I did something I'm not proud of. I went through Emma's purse when she stopped by the next day to drop off groceries. She'd gone to use the bathroom, and her bag was sitting on my kitchen counter. I found her phone, unlocked it with her birthday, and went through her messages with Ryan. What I found made me sick. Texts from Ryan over the past 3 months. Your mom called me David again today. I'm really worried about her. Margaret forgot we had dinner plans last week. Just didn't show up. She asked me what year it was. Twice in the same conversation. All lies. All documented, creating a digital paper trail of my supposed decline. But there was more. A text chain from 2 weeks ago. Ryan. I talked to Dr. Patterson. He'll do the evaluation and give us what we need. Emma. Are you sure we have to do this? It feels wrong. Ryan. Baby. We're protecting her. She can't manage on her own anymore. You've seen it yourself. Emma. I know, but she's going to hate me. Ryan. She won't remember long enough to hate you, and eventually, she'll be grateful we stepped in before something terrible happened. Emma. How long before we can move her to a facility? Ryan. Once conservatorship is approved, maybe 6 months. We'll need to sell the restaurant first, liquidate some assets, but we'll make sure she's somewhere nice. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. Emma knew. My daughter knew Ryan's plan and was going along with it. I managed to put the phone back in her purse before she came out of the bathroom. I smiled, hugged her goodbye, watched her drive away. Then I sat on my floor and cried. She knew. She believed I was losing my mind, and instead of talking to me, fighting for me, she was planning to lock me away. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the texts, Emma asking how long before they could move me, Ryan assuring her I wouldn't remember long enough to hate her. They were talking about me like I was already gone, like the mother Emma knew had already disappeared, and all that was left was some confused shell who needed to be managed. But I wasn't gone. I was right here, fully aware, watching them plot to steal my life. The next morning, I called Stephen Kim and told him everything, every detail. The overheard phone call, Ryan's questions, the documents, the texts. Margaret, this is financial exploitation and elder abuse. You need to report this to Adult Protective Services and possibly the police. Will they believe me? Ryan's been building a narrative for months that I'm mentally declining. If I go to the authorities now, won't it just look like paranoia? Stephen was quiet for a moment. Do you have proof? The recordings you mentioned? I have footage of Ryan trying to catch me making mistakes. I have my medical evaluation from Dr. Reeves stating I'm competent. But I don't have proof of the phone call because I didn't record it, and I can't use the texts I saw on Emma's phone because I accessed them without permission. What about the call with Dr. Patterson? If he's willing to falsify a diagnosis, that's medical fraud. We might be able to report him to the medical board, open an investigation, but that won't stop Ryan. He'll just find another doctor. Then we need to catch him in the act. Margaret, I know this is difficult, but I think you need to play along a little longer. Let Ryan think you're capitulating. Get him to explicitly state his plan, on record. Washington's a two-party consent state, but there are exceptions for documenting a crime. I understood what he was saying. I needed to become bait in my own trap. How do I do that? Tell Ryan you've reconsidered. You're worried about your memory too, and you're willing to look into conservatorship options. Get him talking about the specifics. If he discusses filing false medical claims, forging documents, or stealing your assets, that's conspiracy to commit fraud. Record everything. Then we take it to the authorities with your medical evaluation and show them exactly what he's trying to do. It was risky. If I tipped my hand too soon, Ryan would back off, cover his tracks, and I'd have nothing. But if I waited too long, I might lose my window to act. Okay, I said. I'll do it. I called Ryan that afternoon. I've been thinking about what you said. About the conservatorship. Maybe you're right. Maybe I do need more help than I'm willing to admit. The relief in his voice was palpable. Margaret, I'm so glad you're being open to this. It's really the best thing for everyone. Can we meet? I have some questions about how it would work. Absolutely. How about tomorrow? I can come to your place. Actually, I'd rather meet somewhere neutral. What about that coffee shop near your house, the one in Kirkland? I wanted to meet in public, where I'd feel safer, and where Ryan might feel comfortable enough to speak freely. We met Friday at 2. I had my phone in my purse, recording app running. Stephen had coached me on what to ask, how to keep Ryan talking. Ryan arrived with a folder of documents and a smile. I'm really proud of you for doing this, Margaret. It shows a lot of courage to admit when you need help. I'm scared, I admitted. I don't want to lose control of my life. You won't. That's the beautiful thing about a conservatorship. You'll still have freedom, you'll just have support. Emma and I will make sure all the boring stuff, bills, taxes, investment decisions is handled. You can focus on enjoying your retirement. What about my restaurant? I'm not ready to sell it. He leaned forward. Margaret, I know you love that place, but running a business at your age, with your memory issues, it's too much stress. Selling it would free up capital that we could put in a trust for your care. You'd never have to worry about money again. How much do you think it's worth? Based on comparable sales, probably around $1 million, maybe more if we find the right buyer. Combined with the cash you already have, we're talking about a very comfortable future for you. We? You said we're talking about. He didn't miss a beat. Emma and I. As your conservators, we'd be managing those funds on your behalf, making sure they're invested wisely, that you're getting the care you need. And where would I live during all this? Well, your house is pretty big for one person. We've been looking at some wonderful assisted living communities. They're not nursing homes, Margaret. They're more like luxury apartments with medical support on site. You'd have your own space, but there'd be people around to help if you needed anything. Assisted living. That was new, more palatable than nursing home, but the result was the same. Get me out of my house so they could sell that too. How soon would this happen? We'd need to file the paperwork with the court, get you evaluated by Dr. Patterson, have a hearing. The whole process takes a few months. Maybe by spring you'd be settled somewhere new. Spring. The timeline matched what I'd overheard. And legally, how does this work? What rights would I have? Well, once the conservatorship is in place, Emma would have legal authority to make decisions about your finances and health care. You'd still be able to do most things on your own, but major decisions would go through her. It's for your protection. What if I changed my mind later? What if I decided I didn't want a conservator anymore? He smiled, and it didn't reach his eyes. By that point, Margaret, the court would have already determined that you need one. It's not really something you can just opt out of. That's the whole point, protecting you from making decisions when you're not capable of fully understanding the consequences. There it was. Once they had control, I'd never get it back. Ryan, can I ask you something honestly? Of course. What's in this for you? I know Emma's worried about me, but you've been pushing this pretty hard. Why? For just a second, his mask slipped. I saw calculation in his eyes, a flash of anger that I was questioning him, but he recovered quickly. Margaret, I'm hurt that you'd even ask that. I love Emma, and you're her mother. Your well-being matters to me. Besides, someone needs to think practically about these things. Emma's too emotional about it. She can't make the hard decisions without support. So you're making them for her? I'm helping her see what needs to be done. Is that so wrong? I leaned back, studying him. What about the money, Ryan? $2 million in cash, $1 million from the restaurant, $600,000 from my house. That's a lot of assets to manage. Which is exactly why you need professional management. Do you really want to deal with all that? Investment portfolios, property taxes, market fluctuations? Let us handle it. Us. You and Emma. That's right. And you'd have signing authority on my accounts? As conservator, yes. But everything would be for your benefit, Margaret. You have to trust that we have your best interests at heart. Trust. The man trying to steal my life wanted me to trust him. I had enough. I had him on tape, talking about selling my assets, putting me in a facility, taking control of my finances. It wasn't a full confession, but combined with everything else, it was damning. I need to think about this more, I said. It's a big decision. Ryan's jaw tightened. Margaret, we've been over this. The longer you wait, the more difficult this gets. What if something happens to you in the meantime? What if you have a fall, or get confused and forget to pay a bill, or make a bad financial decision? I'll be fine for a few more days. Will you? Because honestly, Margaret, I'm not sure you're thinking clearly about this. The fact that you keep hesitating, that you don't see how much you need help, that's concerning. Maybe we need to move forward without your consent. For your own safety. My blood ran cold. What does that mean? It means if you're not competent to agree to a conservatorship, we can petition the court to impose one. All we need is Dr. Patterson's evaluation showing that you can't make sound decisions for yourself. I never agreed to see Dr. Patterson, which is part of the problem, Margaret. You're refusing medical care, refusing to acknowledge your limitations. A judge would see that as proof that you need intervention. He was threatening me, openly. If I didn't cooperate, he'd force the conservatorship anyway. I stood up. I think I should go. Margaret, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. Please sit down. Let's talk about this calmly. But I was already walking away, my heart pounding, the recording still running in my purse. I drove straight to Stephen's office. We listened to the recording together, his expression growing grimmer with each sentence. This is enough, he said finally. Combined with your medical evaluation, the security footage, and his documented pattern of behavior, we have a clear case of attempted financial exploitation. We need to go to Adult Protective Services and possibly the police. What about Emma? She's involved in this too. Stephen looked at me with sympathy. I know this is painful. But yes, based on those texts, she's complicit. She may not have initiated the plan, but she's going along with it. I'm sorry, Margaret. I felt like my world was collapsing. My daughter, my only child, the person I'd loved and protected her entire life, was helping her husband steal from me. What happens now? We file a report with APS. They'll investigate. We also need to get a restraining order preventing Ryan from contacting you or making any claims about your competency. And we should seriously consider filing a police report for fraud and conspiracy. What if Emma hates me? What if she succeeds in taking everything from you? Margaret, you have to protect yourself, even if it means protecting yourself from your own daughter. That weekend, I made the hardest decision of my life. I filed a report with Adult Protective Services detailing everything Ryan had done. I filed for a restraining order, and I called Emma to tell her we needed to talk. She arrived at my house Sunday afternoon, nervous and defensive. Mom, Ryan said, you two had a weird conversation on Friday. What's going on? I didn't ease into it. Emma, I know about the conservatorship plan. I know you and Ryan are trying to have me declared incompetent so you can take control of my money." Her face went white. "What? Mom, no. We're trying to help you. By lying about my symptoms? By forging a paper trail of confusion and memory loss? By planning to sell my business and put me in a home? How did you, Mom? You don't understand. You're getting worse. Someone needs to step in before you hurt yourself." "Hurt myself how?" "Emma, there's nothing wrong with me. I had a full cognitive evaluation. I'm completely healthy." "That's not what Ryan's been documenting. You're forgetting things, getting confused." "I'm not. Ryan is lying. He's been lying for months, creating false evidence of dementia so he can convince you to help him steal my assets." She stood up, angry now. "That's crazy. Why would Ryan do that?" "Because he's in debt. Because he sees my money as the solution to his problems. Because he's been manipulating you into believing I'm incompetent, so you'll go along with his plan." "You're paranoid, Mom. You're making up conspiracy theories about my husband. This is exactly what he said would happen. You're getting worse." I pulled out the recordings. "Listen to this." I played her Ryan's phone call from Thanksgiving. His words cold and calculating, talking about the doctor who'd give a false diagnosis, the timeline, the payoff. Emma's hand started shaking. "Where did you get this?" "I overheard it. That night at your house. I heard him planning the whole thing." "That's not there has to be an explanation. Listen to this one." I played the coffee shop conversation. Ryan talking about selling my restaurant, putting me in assisted living, managing my money. Emma's face crumpled. No, he wouldn't. He's been so worried about you. He's been helping me figure out how to take care of you. He's been using your love for me to steal from me, and you were helping him." She looked up, tears streaming. "I didn't know. Mom, I swear I didn't know it was like this. I thought we were really helping you. He showed me all these articles about dementia. He pointed out all these symptoms. He said you were in denial. Did you ever once ask me how I was feeling? Did you ever talk to me directly instead of just believing what Ryan told you?" The question hung in the air. She hadn't. She'd taken her husband's word over her own mother's. "I'm sorry," Emma whispered. "I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. There's more." I showed her the folder Stephen had prepared. The medical evaluation. The security footage of Ryan trying to trip me up. The documents with the spousal delegation clause. Emma read through everything, her expression moving from shock to horror to fury. "He used me. He made me think I was protecting you when really he was setting you up, and I fell for it. Emma, I need to know, are you with him or with me?" She looked at me, and I saw my daughter clearly for the first time in months. Not Ryan's wife. Not a woman convinced her mother was losing her mind. Just Emma, my little girl. "I'm with you, Mom. I'm so with you. What do we do?" What we did was this. We went to the police. We filed a formal complaint against Ryan for attempted fraud, conspiracy, and elder financial abuse. We provided all the evidence recordings, medical evaluations, everything. Then we waited. The investigation took 2 weeks. In that time, Ryan tried to contact both Emma and me multiple times. The restraining order I'd gotten prevented him from coming to my house, but he called, he texted, he sent emails. All of them were the same. I was confused. Emma was making a mistake. He only wanted to help. We'd regret this. Emma didn't respond. She'd moved back in with me temporarily, devastated by the betrayal but determined to make things right. The police brought Ryan in for questioning. He denied everything at first. Said the recordings were taken out of context, that I'd misunderstood, that he really was just concerned about my health. But when they confronted him with the evidence of Dr. Patterson's willingness to provide a false diagnosis, when they showed him the financial records revealing his gambling debts, when they pointed out the patterns of manipulation and coercion, his story started to fall apart. Dr. Patterson, facing his own investigation from the medical board, turned on Ryan, admitted that Ryan had approached him months ago, offered him money to diagnose me with dementia regardless of my actual condition, said Ryan had described it as a mercy. For everyone involved, I'd be cared for. Emma would have access to resources to pay for that care, and Ryan would help manage everything. It all came out. Every lie, every manipulation, every cold calculation. The police arrested Ryan in early January. He was charged with conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, and conspiracy to commit identity theft. Dr. Patterson lost his medical license and faced his own criminal charges. The court date was set for March. Emma filed for divorce in February. The hardest part wasn't the legal process or dealing with authorities. It was watching my daughter grieve the person she thought she'd married. Ryan had been so good at his role, the concerned husband, the devoted son-in-law, the man who just wanted to help. Emma had believed it all. And now she had to reconcile the fact that the man she'd loved, the man she'd built a life with, had seen her as nothing more than a means to access her mother's money. "I should have known," she kept saying. "All those times you tried to warn me, all those moments I should have questioned him. Why didn't I see it?" "Because you loved him," I told her. "And love makes us want to believe the best in people, even when we shouldn't." On March 15th, Ryan stood in court and pleaded guilty to all charges. The evidence was overwhelming, and his attorney had advised him that going to trial would only result in harsher sentencing. He got 3 years in prison and 5 years probation. He was also ordered to repay me for the business loan and cover my legal fees. 3 years felt like nothing for what he'd tried to do, but at least it was something. After the sentencing, Emma and I stood outside the courthouse in the spring sunshine. I was 69 now. My daughter was 43. We'd been through hell together, but we'd come out on the other side. "I'm going to sell the house," Emma said quietly. "Too many memories with him. I'm thinking about moving closer to you. Maybe get a place in your neighborhood?" "I'd like that," I said. "Mom, I'm sorry for not believing you, for choosing him over you, for almost letting him destroy everything." I took her hand. "You didn't let him. We stopped him. Together. But I should have. Emma, you were manipulated by someone you trusted. You made mistakes, yes, but when it mattered, when I showed you the truth, you chose right. That's what counts." She leaned her head on my shoulder, and we stood there for a long moment, mother and daughter, survivors. Life moved on. I kept my restaurant for another year, then sold it on my own terms to a young couple who reminded me of David and me 30 years ago. I traveled, I spent time with Emma. I lived my life exactly how I wanted to. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I hadn't overheard that phone call. If I'd stayed asleep, if I'd gone to the bathroom a minute later, if I'd chosen to ignore my instincts. I would have ended up in some facility, confused and alone, wondering why no one believed me while Ryan systematically emptied my accounts. The thought terrifies me, but it also reminds me of something important. Trust your gut. Pay attention to the quiet signs, the small inconsistencies, the moments when something feels wrong even if you can't articulate why. I was lucky. I caught him in time. Not everyone does. So, if you're reading this, if something similar is happening to you or someone you love, please listen. Document everything. Get your own medical evaluation. Talk to a lawyer. Don't let anyone make you doubt your own mind. And if someone you trust starts showing too much interest in your money, in your health, in getting power of attorney or conservatorship, ask yourself, why now? What's changed? What do they gain? Sometimes the people we should be most careful around are the ones closest to us. That's the hardest lesson I ever learned. But it's also the one that saved my life.